Welcome back to Streamline Investigations, people. Sorry about the late video. It's the weekend and lots of things to do. As of October 2025, Gus Lamont refers to a missing 4-year-old boy from the Australian outback whose case has received national attention. Saturday, September the 27th, 2025, Augustus Gus Lamont was last seen playing on a mound of dirt. So Augustus is obviously, Gus is short for Augustus, should I say. So he was last seen playing on a dirt mound outside his family's homestead, Oak Park Station near Yunta in South Australia. His grandmother went to call him inside about 30 minutes later, but he had gone. The family reported him missing 3 hours after realising he was gone. Extensive searches, one of the largest land and air searches of South Australia's history, was launched involving hundreds of police, Australian Defence Force personnel, soldiers, volunteers, Aboriginal trackers. One of the Aboriginal trackers said he don't think he was ever out there. Helicopters, police expanded search multiple times and received support from search specialists and experts on survival rates. Despite the massive and meticulous efforts, no trace of Gus was ever found. And the search was called off on the 17th, which was yesterday. After a fresh search efforts failed, police officially called off the large-scale operation, stating it had become a recovery operation. The case was handed over to the Missing Persons Investigation section. Family details: Gus lived on the remote sheep station with his mother, Jessica, his 1-year-old brother, Ronnie, and his grandparents, Shannon and Josie Murray. His father, Joseph Lamont, is a country musician who lives 2 hours away and was not present when Gus disappeared. Very, very sad. Basically, nothing was found. I truly believe that the answers lie with Josie, and obviously maybe the week before, we know that Josie, the grandmother, had been arguing with Gus's dad, which has been going on for quite some time. And I'm actually beginning to think, is it got something to do with that? The family wanted to move away from Josie, technically, and she may have not wanted that. And obviously, controlling her daughter, Jess. Something odd in this case, which I can't put my finger on. And I don't want to be accusing them because there's no proof that basically anything that Josie had anything to do with the disappearance of her grandchild, Gus, at this present moment. But there's some weird things going on. And someone needs to speak out, one of the family members, other family members, that is key to this case because he's a 4-year-old boy. And like I said, someone did mention the black eye and bruises on his face. We don't know. I mean, kids have accidents, but the black eye, you certainly have to wonder about. I just want to go into what other people are saying about this case because I don't want to let this case go. And I think it's very, very important we keep putting this case out there because this could happen to another young one as well. Let's get straight into what other people are saying. Thank you. I'm going to go into what Miss Savannah Starr has said.
It marks 3 weeks since little boy Gus Lamont, 4 years old, went missing in South Australia. And there are 2 things that we know, 2 things that could have happened. Okay, so either it was foul play through abduction or worse, right? Or the South Australian police and the family and the SES and, all the people involved in the search are just really bad at their job, okay? Right? Because Gus only had 30 minutes head start before family, started looking for him. And according to the South Australian police, they've already given us the answer because they say that it's not foul play or abduction. So, yeah, it's very, very, very sad. And I think that so many Australians are watching this case and just really wanting updates, but it's just so frustrating. I think that a few things could have happened that would have made us as a community feel a lot better, and it would have made me feel a lot better. I think that in a missing persons case, regardless of what we think may have happened, what the police think may have happened, we need a photo straight away, or multiple photos, because the photo of Gus didn't actually really show, his stature, his height. You need a few photos to be released
Definitely.
straight away. There's a question mark over why that didn't happen. The second thing is Aboriginal trackers have been used with great success, for Australia for decades now, and really they should have been used straight away, straight away. And not just, I believe it was just one about 3 days later. It should have been multiple, The other thing is that just with interviews with the family, they just need to grow a pair, really, and just actually come onto, the camera and say what they need to say, right? And we just need to, see them. It looks suspicious that they're not talking. I understand that, if they are innocent, which the South Australian police believe that they are, and certainly they could be, and probably are, but we really just need to see them talk. It's very.
The problem I've got is that have they said that as Gus wandered off before, where they've had to go out to get him? Normally, a family member comes out and says, "Yeah, sometimes he we have to keep an eye on him because, like I said, he's a bit mischievous," and then he runs off 5 minutes down the road or something. There's no basically conversations by the family in how Gus is, his personality. Is he naughty? Is he good? Does he play up sometimes? What's he like around about that time? What was he doing previous days to that in the garden? Do you see what I mean? We need some interaction with the family. We're not asking for their life stories, but what we're asking for is, what was Gus like? Was he happy? Was he unhappy? Ali did mention that from a couple of months ago, his eyes looked different, where he didn't look probably as well and as happy as he did before. That's the question mark there. Where did the bruises come from? People have got thoughts. This is a young 4-year-old boy who, was playing outside. We know farms, homesteads are dangerous at the end of this. It's a sheep farm. What was he doing? 30 minutes is a long time for a kid to maybe have an accident, or for someone who would pick him up. But I'm sure if someone did, someone would have saw something. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm actually starting to believe that he wasn't on the property the time they say he was.
Unusual that hasn't happened. Also, just the information that they chose to release is a bit like, why? The 2 footprints that were, deemed to be not part of the investigation, like, how long does it, when you find a footprint, how long would it take to go, oh, okay, it's not to do with the case, so why tell us? Do you know what I mean? And the stop-start of the investigation as well. There's increasing heat in Australia, and they were searching for, I think it was about a week and a bit, and then they stopped and then they restarted. So you just wonder what the motive was there, because as time passes, then, it becomes more and more unlikely to find little Gus. But yeah, it's just really sad. I think that a lot of people sort of speculate about things like the water sources there, whether there's, a dam or water tanks. I just want to know that they've been drained or, properly served.
It's true. I understand what you're saying, but it is said that the police, I know they haven't elaborated on, especially where there's water and it should be, or dams or massive holes that have been there for centuries and where he could have fallen. You would have thought all those places were investigated, but how much you would still like to know that everyone have been them covered, and mine shafts and old school buildings at the end of the day that may have dropped should be investigated as well. I think the investigation is done. I know the police don't tell us everything, but like I said, I'm just wondering why. I think people have wondered why the family haven't been interrogated at the moment.
And that I just, yeah, I definitely like to feel like that the family has been fully investigated. And yeah, I don't know if the Australian police are as bad at finding people as they claim that they are, then maybe we need another group, maybe another team from somewhere else in Australia or overseas. And I really hate, this is my last little vent about that, is that they're all like members of the general public and keyboard warriors and things like that. Well, yeah, we're just all concerned, like we actually care, especially, not especially, but people that have families, or we just relate in some way that, and it's just an incredibly sad thing that one of our young, innocent citizens can just completely disappear without a trace. It's just, of course, with the community there, if we didn't care, we were just like going on with our own lives, then we wouldn't be keyboard warriors and we wouldn't speculate and we wouldn't be like, I'm worried about this. But that's just, you need to expect that the community are going to react. Yeah. Anyway, thoughts and prayers for little Gus, and damn, what a case, eh? I hope it gets resolved very, very soon. Okay. Thank you for listening.
Interesting stuff. I think she's thinking what a lot of people are thinking. Have the police, search every nook and cranny? I'm not so sure. I would say the high percentages they've searched what they can. I still think the answers around the homestead, the home itself. No trace of Gus. It's very, very worrying. Trackers, army out there. Not even, a piece of clothing, blood, or anything found. And like I said, once again, I'm starting to wonder whether he was there the time they say he was. It is really, really bizarre. Some of the messages, the police have never said that they're innocent. They have said investigating every avenue. Cooperation does not innocent the police vocabulary. Police have said at this stage to suggest foul play if they did truly suspect them 1 year old surely have been removed. Yes, the whole case details family seems shrouded. I think they were trying very hard to protect the family's privacy. Yeah, definitely. And see lots of articles focusing on the grandmother's trans status, which has nothing to do with it. Agreed. I know the babes. But if you lose a child, you're going to lose your privacy. Yeah, definitely. Something is amiss inherently. I agree. Thank you. Imagine taking 6 days, I believe, to release the photo of him. Also, the instance he was taken, his hair would be shaved by now, so would look fairly different. So True reported missing photo straight away. Yeah, it is bizarre, and it's a massive topic of the discussions. But like I said, there's going to be a lot of suspicion on the family. Thank you very much. I'll put more out about this a bit later, people. Thank you very much indeed. Take care.